Kia ora, everybody. What's up? It is robett, and I'm joined by Logan Wedgwood, partner at Advisory Works. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Let's be honest. You're tired. You were just telling me you've been working 16-hour days for the last 3 weeks. You're at home. You got a kid. You've been kicked out. It's been crazy. You're tapped, but
Yeah,
you've committed. So
I'm
I
tapped.
think this is the
Yeah.
reality of business in 2020 after Corona, right? For those who don't know, give the
Yeah.
1 minute quick spiel on Advisory Works, what you do, and how you roll.
Well, I guess it's different to the rundown that I gave you the last time we caught up. So the last time we caught up, I said we're specialists in strategy and execution. And as of this moment, I guess what we are is we are a helpline for businesses who are getting nailed by what's
Yeah.
going on at the moment. And so we are pivoting all of our tools and strategies and support to focus on contingency, continuity, and recovery planning. And not just planning, but we're actually rolling up our sleeves and getting more into helping in any way that we can. And that's basically because that's what the market needs.
And I think
right
the genesis of, I guess, this chat is in the last week, you've put out now 2 different PDF docs to help businesses sort of get through this time. And then the latest one, which you just put out last night, which I think is very timely, very perfect, and very good. I'm just going to add this up to the stream now, is running a business during lockdown. Now, for those who are just tuning and watching, you can get this for free right now off advisory.works, www.advisory.works. Logs, do you want to just sort of jump straight into it and kind of, I guess, give a quick top line of what you've done and how you've done it? And this is what I guess all your brain power has been going to for the last little bit.
Yeah, so I guess what we're trying to achieve with these documents is perspective. Because business owners right now, they are hurting. I'm taking phone calls every day of people in tears. And the challenge at the moment is we are all, whether you're a business that's in lockdown, whether you're a business that's shut down, or whether you're a business that's an essential service, we are all trying to figure out how the hell we keep our businesses going right now. And what the result of that is everybody gets dragged down. In the past, we've talked about getting dragged into business as usual. This is worse than business as usual. This is how do I keep the lights on? So when people are in that mode, it's really, really hard to see the bigger picture. And there is a bigger picture. And if we're not looking and planning for what's going to be happening 90 days from now and 6 months from now, even if we make it through the next 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to get caught out again with cash flow issues and customer issues and things like that, supply issues, supply chain issues. So what I'm trying to do here with these documents is help remind everybody to keep looking at the horizon and be aware that while I understand that you're looking every single dollar right now, you need to be planning for every single dollar 3 months and 6 months from now. Because depending on how the economy comes out of the this crisis, and I don't like referring to it as the COVID crisis, because whilst that was the trigger, what's happening with the economy is going to be much more painful for business owners for much longer than what the virus will be. Well, I think. I'm not a scientist, so I could be wrong.
So explain that to me again. So this is in terms of financial terms at a macro level, how does this piggyback and sort of play out in a month by month or quarterly sort of period between now and when we kind of get back to not the old ways things were, but pre-corona? How do you see this playing out?
Okay, so I'm not an economist, so economists will have really, really good opinions at this stage on what shape the economy will take post-lockdown. I think 2 weeks ago, everyone was probably optimistic that it would be a V, which is a short, sharp recovery. The virus hits, we go into lockdown, and then we very quickly all get back into work, get back to doing business, and the economy responds. I believe that, I don't believe, got to choose my language carefully here because I don't want to misadvise people, but what I'm planning for, so personally, I'm planning for a W or an L. I think at best,
what does that mean, a W and an L, for those who don't know, just quickly?
Okay, so the V is a short, sharp recovery. A U is a protracted recovery. It's slightly longer than a V. Takes longer for us to get back to an upswing. A W is a false start. recovery where we think we're recovering and things bounce, and then boom, we crash again, and then we try and bounce again. And that's the devastating one, because you've allocated your planning and cash reserves to the initial bounce, and that happens, and then you drain your cash, and then you drop again, and then you can't replenish that cash, and then when it goes to grow again, you have no cash to grow, and that's when most businesses would tip over, would be on that second bounce. And then the L is the really scary one that we're all avoiding talking about, which is a depression. And so I am certainly not going to talk about that being where we're heading. But I'm planning for it just in case. If that's the scenario that we're facing, how do I need to respond? Yeah.
So the
does that make sense?
No, totally get it. I think the key piece from it, okay. I guess my side is you'd be saying, save the pennies and plan that it could last longer than expected. If it pops back up, don't triple down into that you think that life is all good and wait till you get to that next phase. So almost it's like patience to get through the entire thing instead of just thinking it's just going to just jump straight in the mix. So basically the one that you just released this one, running a business during lockdown last night. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yesterday afternoon. I worked on it all weekend, and my team did as well. So
man, it looks, it's been going, but interesting, right? So because I look through this, 2.3 million paid employees, blah blah. Protect and if possible grow your cash position. Collect debts on time and don't allow credit out of term. Renegotiate fixed overheads. Like this is an entire playbook, one through whatever for everything, right? Like how did you? What are the key takeaways from this if someone's watching it right now?
So I'll use the vernacular that we're using within our business, because consultants work solo a lot. It can be quite a lonely place to be when you're spending all of your time helping other people. So as consultants, we meet every day, twice a day, once in the morning, once at the end of the day. And our vernacular, the way that we're talking about the things that matter right now is the first thing that matters is people, but we're talking about cash as being the first thing that matters, because if we don't solve that part quickly with businesses, then the people get impacted much more quickly. So cash, people, strategy, execution. Those are the four kind of headings that we're operating with loosely. And the cash thing is making sure every dollar is working, and then knowing ahead of time what are the trigger points for the decisions that you need to make, so that they don't become an emotional decision, they become a logical decision. So we're not saying cut all of your people now, make everyone redundant, send everybody home, let the government clean up the mess. We're actually trying desperately to get people to hold on to their people where possible. You might have a couple of really poor performers that you just can't afford to keep on at this time, but we're also saying continue to pay your suppliers. Keep paying your bills and keep paying them on time, because we're actually only going to get through this together as a community and as a nation if we look after each other. The old way of business was so competitive, and I believe as part of the new way that we'll be doing business going forward is it's not going to be about competition, it's going to be about collaboration, and it's going to be about how you work with your suppliers, not how you beat them down on price and string them out on cash terms. It's going to be how you work with your employees. As an example, I had somebody ask a question yesterday. It pissed me off, and I had to bite my tongue because they were talking about how do I hold my people accountable for showing up at 9 o'clock and doing a full 8-hour workday. And in my head, I went, are you fucking kidding me? Like, if you can't learn right now in this environment, that's not the way now, and it's never going to be the way again. If you're not learning now, you're going to be woefully inept for dealing with business in the next year and coming years, because we've been forced to move to a distributed work environment. I'm working from home with 2 little boys. Me and my wife have businesses, multiple businesses that we're trying to run with no childcare, no support, and if I'm on here now having the call, she's dealing with the kids by herself. So if we're still both doing an 8-hour workday, this is what it looks like for us. My wife wakes up at 5:30 a.m. and works from 5:30 a.m. till 7:30 a.m. At 7:30 a.m., from 7 a.m. I take over and wake the kids up. I make their breakfast and make them fluffies and do coffees and things, and then I have the kids from 7:30 until 9:30. She's working. Then from 9:30 until 11:30, I'm doing my team meetings and my first bit of work. Then we put our kids down for a nap from 12:30 till 3, and both of us are working. And then we're negotiating every day who gets to do the afternoon shift and who gets to do those hours. And then one of us is doing the night routine, and then both of us are working from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. or midnight. And that's our way of working at the moment, just to keep the train on the tracks in this environment. And when I think about businesses trying to hold, if I was an employee and they're going, I want to hold you accountable to turning up and finishing at 5. Holy shit, if it wasn't for the environment, my language would be less carefully chosen. So the challenge that I would position with businesses now is forget the way that you used to do things. Forget it. You've got an opportunity now to think about how you look after your people in the future. It doesn't mean sitting in traffic for 2 hours every morning so that you can turn up at 9. If they've got kids, and they've got a partner that works as well as most do in the modern environment, where you don't really get stay-at-home people. Everybody has a side hustle or another job or something to try and keep up with the rat race. Businesses need to be thinking about how you support people to be their best self for the company at the time that works for them. And that's what's amazing about Advisory Works and all of us. We choose our schedules and we're all supportive of each other. So the new way of working, how do we get through the next economy? And then the new way of working, how do we support our suppliers? How do we support our customers? How do we support our people? How do we do this together as a nation so that we are working far, far better, far more collaboratively and leaning on each other to become a strong nation again, because that's what's going to be needed. Dude, sorry, I got a bit passionate there. But
no, it's real shit tired. Because no, dude, 100%, bro. Like everyone's got their shit, right? Like we were talking last week with a few crew about, some people are very fortunate enough, like if they've got older kids that can sort of take care of themselves, whatever. But there's a lot of business people with young children right now. They don't have daycare. They don't have grandma who can come over. They don't have like a big extended family to do the daycare. And even just that, like negotiating, okay, well, I've got to do X, Y, Z, boom, 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 from 3 to 5, negotiating on an hour by hour basis with you and your partner for it. And some people, think about some other people, they plenty that have children with no other support. They may be solo parents. How do they navigate all this, right? Like, I know it's savage, right? So as much as plenty are in very fortunate positions. Let's not be, too idealistic, because you're definitely right. Like you're a smart man. You've done very well for yourself. But even you with options, it's still flipping stressful as shit, right? And I think we're only 1 week into this shit. Like I know I'm actually really excited. On Thursday, we're catching up with Dr. Paul Woods. Who'd been to prison, an expert in isolation and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So we're going to be talking to him as well. But I think you're right too. Wow. On the business side. I just wanted to bring up. I love this shit. This is in the latest one. So if you've just tuned in, it is basically running your business through hard times. 12 key considerations for leading in a crisis: be decisive and action oriented, exercise empathy, which is that is a huge one, which you were like talking about before. Like I think Corona in many ways is actually going to, I think it's going to humanize leadership in a way that we've never seen before. And I think leaders that lead with love are going to come out not only on top, but I think empathy is going to hopefully come out way more on top. Communicate constantly. I was talking to, we talked to Craig Hudson's MD of Xero last week, and he's doing daily update videos to all of his staff on their Slack channels, like personalized things, set and reset expectations, be ahead of the game, empower the organization, intentionally structure.
Just go back to that set and reset expectations part.
Yeah, go for it.
See, that's what's really interesting, right? Because we still, one of the things that really pissed me off was that meme that went around where that got shared widely on social media, where they went, your grandparents were asked to go to war, you're being asked to sit on the couch, deal with it. What a totally unhelpful thing to share. you're not being asked to sit on the couch. If you're employed, your employer right now is, one, not getting paid, two, desperately trying to figure out how they don't lose their house. And you're thinking that sitting on the couch and watching Netflix is all you have to do. No, I'm not saying that that you don't need to do your hours anymore. You still need to do your hours, but you have to do it in a way that works for you and for your family and for your lifestyle. But you still need to work on outcomes. You still have to deliver on your promises and make the things happen for the business that need to happen. Otherwise, there will be no business at the other end, and you won't be able to have Netflix. So
it's not checkers, it's chess.
And for the business owner, it's not about going, I need to see you checking in every day at 9 o'clock. It's helpful if you do, because we can all connect as a team and we can continue to build our culture and we can still connect as human beings. But it's about going, the expectation is we still need to get stuff done. How do I, as a business owner, help support you to do that? Because my expectation is that you will still get it done. But I understand you have kids and a family and a wife with their own business and blah, blah, blah. What flexibility do we need? What is the best time for me to meet with you? My team all know that they're calling me at 8:30 at night, because that's when I have the most bandwidth to think. So that setting expectations in this new environment is really is a really important piece.
Totally agree. Have a clear expectation of how this will play out. If you can anticipate change, signal it early so people start to get their head around it. Take every step you can to create surety. Be ahead of the game. Number 6, empower the organization. Intentionally structure your new business as usual early. Number 8, keep connected, meet more often, structure and set priorities, focus on what you can control, influence, don't run, it panics the troops. Number 12, take time to look after yourself and your family and recharge. This is such a great document, man. And you said you've got another one as well that's coming out. Is that right?
Yeah, yep. So we got several, so there's 2 in the market now, and there's another one that I'm working on right now. The first one we released the Monday before we went into lockdown, I think, and we were doing that because we were at level 2 and we were going into level 3 and then going to level 4, and business owners were just in an absolute flap. No one knew whether they were essential business or not. No one knew or not whether the business owner could still go into the office. All of those questions. So we were very quick to we put that one together. It took me probably 30 hours over 3 days, me and the people involved with pulling it together. And we did that as fast as we could and got it out in market so that business owners could start being decisive, because that's what was missing. So that was that one. That went out of date within about 48 hours. The information in it was out of date. As soon as we went to level 4, we went, shit, even we got it. We didn't get it wrong, but there were elements that moved more quickly than we thought. We've never seen something move this quickly.
Yeah,
then
I think the second business, yeah, totally.
No, never. And then this second document we put together over the weekend for today, because we're trying to wait for it's a hard balance, because we're trying to wait for enough of the environment to change that we can take some learnings from it and go, here, business owners, this is what you need to respond to right now. But at the same time, not be so slow that we're too late to give them the tools they need to navigate it. So the one that I'm working on at the moment is the working title that I have in my head, which is not approved by the team or anything yet, is how to adjust your business to the new way of working. So I'm trying to pull research together and trying to think about what businesses are going to need to navigate and go through when they go through those different economic cycles, whichever one it ends up being. And also this corona thing, I hate to say it, but lockdown is probably going to be extended, not ended in 4 weeks. That's my prediction. At best, we'd go down to a level 3. And level 2 will be at least 2 months away, if not longer. And the travel restrictions will be in place for months and months. So, events companies, tourism companies, hospitality, I really feel for the people running those companies, because right now they're just watching every dollar go out and they have no dollars coming in. The rest of us who are in wave 2 and wave 3 of when these impacts are going to hit. So if tourism, events, etc. are wave 1, they got nailed in 4 days. 4 days
Yep.
flat, they went from having a business to not having one. Air New Zealand's an example. Anybody who was doing large events with 500
Hospitality
people,
events,
and so dead overnight.
cafes, bars,
Wave 2,
restaurants.
all gone. All closed. Some of them will have cash reserves to start up again, hopefully. A lot won't. The second wave is everybody doing manufacturing and producing of things. If you're producing a thing of value, massively impacted right now, can't do anything, are going to try and figure out how to start up again in 6 weeks' time or 8 weeks' time, and be faced with the challenges that they've never faced before. So I'm trying to think about what those might be and pull information and data in to help me make suggestions. And then there's wave 3, and wave 3 aren't being affected yet, which is interesting. If you look at IT companies, Zoom, anybody who are helping businesses figure out how to work from home, some marketing companies, one of mine, so I've got 4 businesses, one of them's a marketing company. That company hasn't been impacted at all, sailing along. My professional services company impacted now, where we're already seeing the impacts. IT companies not being impacted yet. But then customers who are in those frontline businesses have got impacted fast. So if they're not being impacted yet, they've probably got another 6 to 8 weeks of runway before they start to see their cash account get affected. And then they're going to be making the decisions now, then that we're making now. So what can they learn from that? What does the new distributed work environment look like if people do suddenly, who work for big corporates, who didn't know how to do a 9 to 5 from home? Well, now they've been forced to figure it out. What does it look like for them if you're a bigger company when the 9 to 5 doesn't exist anymore? So those are some of the things I'm wrestling with at the moment, and trying to pull information together.
It's that race, right? Because when you see it like chess and you can see each different domino go down, what are the challenges at that domino? How do you then react to that? What data can you pull in to give? And it's not like you've got to give full legal advice to whatever's coming in the pipeline, but these waves that you're talking about, I can totally see coming. So it's really interesting. Malcolm Mersham just said, agree, times have already changed. I like the more human leadership, and I think that's definitely going to be a thing. One of the other parts of it is you talk about for those now working remotely, continuity crisis, establishing rules and protocols for working from home, ensure the team meetings continue, keep morales high, and protect your culture. Like I even saw Jason Paris was wearing a different sort of funky head thing on each different day, just to keep, just to have a bit of a vibe. Find ways to collaborate and communicate, remain connected, enhance visibility and accountability, focus on measuring the right things. I mean, this whole thing is an exact playbook for what's coming up, how it's all rolling, what to do, and it's got some pretty really interesting stuff in there. So if you scoping this and want to check it out, this is Advisory Works has just put out running a business during lockdown. It's free, it's a PDF. You can get it online at advisory.works. And yeah, what a crazy scenario you're in, and definitely mad kudos and props to you. If people want to check any of this out, obviously they can go to advisoryworks.works. They can check Logan out on LinkedIn. But man, it sounds like you're in the midst of chaos, my friend, navigating and balancing it all. So so props to you, my friend. Props to you. Any last little final words?
But what a thing to learn from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
what a thing to learn from, right? Like as a advisor to businesses, I've learned some lessons around how I needed to be better earlier. I've learned lessons around what business owners need to be thinking about now, and are learning lessons too. I think there's one thing that I do want to comment on, and it's down the end of the end of that document, and I think it's a question that a lot of businesses are going to really need to think about as they think about which economic reality might play out the other end of lockdown. And it's too early, and I need to be really careful what I say here, because there are businesses right now that are in tears because they're losing everything, and I understand that, and they're not in a place where they can think strategically. They're in a place where they're thinking about their house. Then there's businesses who aren't being affected at all, and they're a little bit cavalier, and they go, nah, we're fine, we're sailing along, and I get that too. So actually providing thoughts and commentary and things on this environment is quite dangerous and quite hard to do for us at the moment, because we can get it quite wrong for some people. So as long as people understand that trying to take a middle lane, and we understand that there are people in other lanes, we're trying to take a middle lane and give as much value as we can. So having said that, when businesses find the time to come up for air and think about what it might look like a few months from now and what economic environment we might be in, down the bottom of the sheet, I've got what's your cash position. And a lot of people are aware of what their cash position might be now. What they're modeling is what they think the cash position might be in a few months' time. And the really hard emotional decision that people need to prepare themselves for, and this is the one that's really hard to talk about and really hard to raise, but we need to raise it so that other people who don't have businesses know that this is what business owners are going through. These businesses are going to need to decide whether or not they want to keep fighting.
Jeez.
Because for some, that might be taking on a $500,000 loan from a bank with interest guaranteed by the government against their house. And if we hit a W economy rebound and they don't have the cash or the willingness to fight, if they're exhausted at the end of the next few months, which they may well be, they might have to decide to protect their family, protect their house, that they're not willing to keep going. Yeah. And so I have had business owners on the phone in tears for weeks now, and those ones have been forced to make that decision early. But that's the decision that is coming for some. How much money do I borrow? So knowing your cash position now and working with your bank now and working with the government funding now to get your cash position as stable and clear as you can get now, so that you know exactly how many months you've got in business before you run out of money. I know exactly when I'm going to run out of money based on the current trends and scenario, and I check it every day.
Yeah.
They need to know that so that they know when the decision is to borrow money or not, how much or how little, and whether that's going to be enough to get them through and positive again. So
Dude, it's going to be a gnarly time for sure, man. Logan Wedgwood, partner at Advisory Works, www.advisory.works. Check out the PDF. I know you're tapped, you're tired, you're flipping stress. It's chaos for your entire world. So I appreciate you putting the time in to create something that genuinely helps others, which is you've done it in a written format. Hopefully this does it in a little bit of video format. Appreciate your time, my brother, and try and get some rest. Hi to wifey, and I'll talk to you soon, eh?
Thanks, man.
Shot, brother. Logan Wedgwood, absolute good bastard, and from the mix with Advisory Works. Go to Advisory Works website, download it, check it out. So many businesses are going to be struggling with that right now, and it's an amazing step-by-step, play-by-play thing of what you can do right now to make a difference. See you up soon, everyone, team, and we've got another one starting very, very soon. See you soon. Peace.